be live, but we're gonna start at 1:15 on the dot.
We need one of those like stream screens where it's like show starting soon.
Yeah, I know. That's
And
what I was saying.
There's just like lo-fi in the background.
When we get it, we're gonna take some break at some point, probably like around like the breaks, and we're gonna revamp the show a bit. Probably start streaming on Twitch and things like that. Get some overlays. All right, got to send out the "It's live" message. All right, it's 1:15.
Oh, no, I forgot.
You guys ready to go?
Yep.
Let's do it. All right. Well, everybody, welcome to Across the Board, episode 5. We are flying through these. I feel like we just started the show and we're already on episode 5. But today, we obviously have 2 new panelists that are going to introduce themselves, but we're going to go into the NFL. We're obviously going to talk about what happened with John Gruden. We're going to go over last week's games and talk about some upcoming games this year. Talk about who are our contenders and pretenders. And obviously go over our hot takes from last week. Then we're going to transition into college football, where we're going to talk about one of the wildest weekends, I think, of college football history. Probably top three. I think it was one of the wildest in 1 week. But we're going to go over that, talk about the new upcoming matchups coming up this week, and argue over my Kai's committee top 25 criteria. We'll then transition into baseball, talk about some playoffs here, and recap what's been going on with that, and end with some NBA because that's coming up soon. So first, obviously, we got to introduce our new panelists. We have 2 with us. We have Alex and Rylan. So whichever one of you guys go first, please introduce yourself to the crowd.
All right. I'm Rylan, and I would say my top 3 sports that I know the most about are NBA, NFL, and MLB. Know a little bit about UFC too. But
Awesome.
I'm Alex. Main sports I do is usually I do a lot of the NFL. I do a lot of college football, college basketball. Not so much in the NBA, but watch a lot of soccer too. So
awesome. We got another soccer guy. All right, Chase is gonna like that one. But yeah, so let's just get right into it, guys. So obviously, everybody knows what happened with John Gruden, and we're not really gonna get into what our opinions are about it too much, but basically John Gruden is not the head coach of the Raiders anymore. He decided to resign from his position. So we're going to talk about more about who are some of those replacement candidates right now. I just had the name of their interim coach. Does anybody know what their name of the interim coach is right now?
Definitely forgot to look that up.
I know what his name is. I just cannot think of it.
Rich.
He's very emotional in that press conference.
I will say
I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Rich
Biasia, something
Okay.
like that. Yeah, I will say if you have not seen the press conference with their GM Mike Mayock, I believe. If you have not seen his response to the situation, you should really go check it out. It's probably like one of the best like PR examples I've seen of somebody covering that situation. But basically just talks about, hey, this is what happened, but we're 3-2 on the season. We still got to look forward. We have a great interim coach, and then we'll figure all of this out. So right now, Rich Biasia is going to be the coach. So, let's just talk about now who are some replacement candidates for him. And we can include Rich if he has a good season. But next year, who do you guys think Raiders are looking for to fill that head coaching vacancy?
I can start. I feel like I have 3 that a lot of us are going to say, so we can just get them all out of the way. The 3 that I had written down, because they went with Gruden, so I feel like they'll stay offensive-minded, but the head coach kind of normally it kind of switches back, but I feel like they'll kind of stay on the same. So there's Eric Bieniemy of the Chiefs. There's Kellen Moore of the Cowboys, if this Cowboys offense keeps looking the way it is. And there's Byron Leftwich with the Bucks. Those were the 3 I had written down. So does anyone have any others besides those 3? Because I feel like most of those are self-explanatory.
No. Go for it, Tyler.
Yeah, the other 2 I had was Joe Brady and Brian DeBall, the offensive coordinator for the Bills.
I like that.
I actually brought Todd Bowles into the conversation because their defense looks a little lacking, and I think their offense is fine with their offensive coordinator right now. So maybe if they made a switch to bring in some more defensive players in the draft, they could have a better chance of winning games without having to go to overtime.
Like that.
I was thinking Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Great
Oh,
offensive coach. They have Henry Ruggs, explosive, and Darren Waller. So
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with Rylan there. I was gonna say Lincoln Riley too. There's been, I feel like every year we talk about, is Lincoln Riley going to leave college football? But I feel like if Oklahoma has a year this year, I could definitely see him, definitely leaving and trying his luck at the NFL. I think that's where the NFL is really going. I think you guys can all agree it's more about these younger, offensive-minded coaches that are getting these opportunities. But I do agree with everybody's picks. Eric Bieniemy is the big one that I think everybody is going to point to also. But I really like that Byron Leftwich pick too. I think he's been doing a great job with the Buccaneers. But yeah, I love all those. Does anybody have anybody else or anybody want to add on to their pick?
I really do like Kellen Moore though. I mean, you look at that Cowboys offense and it looks high powered. I mean, he's young. He can relate to the players. I mean, he almost looks like Sean McVay to me when he was up in Buffalo. I mean, I could see him being a long-term coach for them. And I mean, he looks good. I mean, the offense runs well. They run the ball really well. They pass the ball really well. I mean, that was probably the biggest problem with the Cowboys the last 2 years is they couldn't run split and pass split very often. It was either run heavy or pass heavy offense.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Kellen Moore last year, was he the quarterback's coach for the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, he was.
He was the quarterback's coach. Who was the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys last year?
I don't remember.
Pulling it up right now. Oh, there's so many. If you continue, I'll find this.
Yeah, just feel free to interject. But my point is, I mean, I'm impressed by Kellen Moore too. I think this Cowboys team, they're 4-1, right? They've gotten some good wins. They look pretty good this year. As his first year as an OC, I think that'd be crazy in 3 years to go from quarterback's coach to OC to head coach. I think he's definitely up there on the list for sure.
We're actually incorrect. Scott Linehan, I'm not sure.
Linehan?
Yep, he was from 2015 to 2018. Kellen Moore actually took over as OC since the 2019 season.
So it's been 2 years then. All right, that makes sense. Well, still, like within 4 years, I think, and I feel like I still remember Kellen Moore is relatively young. I'm pretty sure he played at Boise. Did he play? He's the quarterback at Boise,
for
right?
The Cowboys.
Yeah, and he played for the Cowboys. Yeah,
he broke his ankle and then called it quits.
Yeah, hey, it seems like he's got a future in coaching, so that's awesome. But moving on from that, let's talk about last week's games, right? So obviously our big one was Bills versus Chiefs, and I think everybody can agree with me. Bills looked good. They looked good. You could even say maybe Chiefs had an off day, but I mean that Bills team, they look legit. They showed up to play in a primetime game. We're gonna go over each game. I'm just gonna run through really quick the big ones. Chargers Browns. That one, I wish I started Justin Herbert in fantasy because every time I do, he doesn't do anything. He dropped like 50-something points. Chargers win 47-42 against the Browns, and then Packers and Bengals in a game that, man, those kickers. I think it was like around maybe 3 to 5 missed kicks in the last
6
5
total.
minutes. Yeah. So that was wild. Packers win 25-22. So, Tyler, I saw you shaking your head. Is there anything you want to add about any of those games last week?
So for the Chiefs, I have a lot of concerns with them. Their inability to run the ball is one. They can't expect Mahomes to put up 45 a week with that defense giving up too many points. It's just horrendous. So I don't know. I'm just very concerned for their future this season.
You focused on their run. I actually looked up a lot about their defensive stats. They're second most in yards allowed this season, in total yards. And the one that was huge that I saw outside of being fourth in both rushing and passing yards allowed, they allow the most yards per play in the NFL with 7.1. You're giving up almost a first down on every play pretty much.
I do want to add really quick. Actually, Alex, go ahead. Go ahead, Alex.
I mean, it's really evident when you watch them play. I mean, they don't pressure anyone. I mean, you can see they're dropping way too many guys into the backfield, and then they're giving up short routes that are getting long runs. And it's not even like they don't want to pressure a quarterback. I mean, if they would have stepped up and pressured Allen, he's probably not going to run for 59 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he had a better running average than the Bills running, but then the Chiefs running back did in that game at 5.4 yards a carry. I mean,
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
I think, early in the season, everybody just chalks it up like, it's early season. But I mean, this is real now. I mean, that AFC West is tough, right? Chiefs right now are at the bottom of it at 2-3. You still got to battle a Raiders team that is really scrappy at 3-2. You have a Broncos team who, I mean, let's be real, they've lost 2 straight. We don't know how legit they really are, but I mean, they're still there. And then you have that Chargers team. I think, it's not time to press the panic button yet, but I think it's time for us to really look and like, hey, what's going on with this Chiefs team, and they need to turn around quick. But yeah, let's talk about Chargers versus Browns, which I thought was a much more high scoring game than I anticipated, being 47-42. What do you guys have to think about that?
I got a bit of a hot take. Herbert's the top 5 QB in the league right now, and I fully believe that. And
I think Herbert wins MVP. I mean,
him
how do you put up 400 yards on someone and you're not in the QB race? I mean, for MVP. I mean, he looked better than Josh Allen throwing.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't run as much, but 4 touchdowns, that's a lot.
Yeah, that I said, that's why I picked him in fantasy. He just took a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I think their new coach Staley even said, before the season started, like they want to run the offense through Herbert. They want to make it Herbert's offense, and they're going to build the team around that. So I think people did expect this lift in stats a bit, but I mean, for a 4-1 start and him looking this good, I'm really liking it. I think he's just going to keep getting better and better.
I think if Staley could, he would just completely remove punting and kicking from his team and just go for it. 4th and 18, 4 verts, and we arm punt it. Just find the safety and lob it to him.
Yeah, it's wild. And then this last main game, we're going to talk about Packers versus Bengals, 2 teams that this was my game to watch for the week, and I guess it delivered. Lots of missed kicks, lots of teams back and forth throwing the game away, but it was still a good game. How good is this Packers team? I feel like they've been into some close games, but I mean, at the end of it, they've gotten the dubs and they're 4-1. So how good is this team really?
I can start. I am not for the Packers. If we look forward into Contenders, Pretenders, they're actually the pretender I picked. A couple things I had for them. They actually have been outscored so far this season. In points, they are 122 allowed and 120 scored. They're in every defensive statistic I looked at, they are middle of the pack. They are just bang average defense, and their offense, if it gets going, that's one thing. But with the teams they've played, their record is 10-13 against the teams they've played already. One of those being the Lions.
They played Lions, 49ers, Steelers, and then the Bengals last week.
Yep. And they have yet to play the actual best teams of the AFC North. Mm-hmm. And they've still yet to play, probably arguably outside of the Seahawks, 2 of the best teams in the NFC and the NFC West. So they have a good record, but they've yet to play really the teams that will challenge their defense.
Yeah. I would say
Alexander. Where's he been on defense?
I think he's injured, actually.
He's on IR.
Yeah, he's out
he did.
for this upcoming week. I don't know if he was out last week too or when he got injured, but he's out right now.
I would say that the point differential that he mentioned, I think the Saints game had a lot to do with that, because if they take out that game, they are probably 30 points ahead of where the points against or whatever.
But it's still a game that's in there, given first week after the Aaron Rodgers stuff. But they showed that what is pretty average Saints team can put up 38 on them on a really good day or a bad day for them. So,
Well, does anybody have anything else to add about any of those 3 games before we move into our games this week?
Yeah, I really like the Bengals a lot, and the fact that game was close kind of told me that they're actually legit this year.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't take anything away from the Packers for barely beating them. I like the Packers a lot, and their defense is a lot better than last record. So,
Bengals do want to go on a 3-game road trip, but they also played the Lions, the Jets, and the Ravens in those 3 games.
Yeah.
So they can still look out pretty good after that.
Yeah.
The Packers game made me feel like that if I put any sort of training into kicking, that I could become an NFL kicker pretty quick.
Yeah.
They banded together so none of them could get fired for one bad week. They just banded together and said, we all miss.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about Dawson Knox from Buffalo catching 2 touchdowns as a tight end? I mean, Stephon Diggs goes for 69 yards for 0 touchdowns, but their tight end catches 2. I mean, that looks like
big
the best,
catches.
Looks like the best offense because there's Cole Beasley who did nothing last week, Diggs who did barely anything, but then you put your tight end and your running back in and your quarterback and they score all the points for you. So, I mean, if someone has a bad week, someone else is picking up the slack for Buffalo. And I mean, I really think that it's going to be hard to beat them, especially now that they've won that game. You're going to have to play in Buffalo in the playoffs, which no one wants.
Yeah, they look great. But moving on to upcoming games this week, our top 3 that we're looking for, obviously, Bears and Packers, I think is going to be a big one. I am a Bears fan, I won't lie, but I think past being a Bears fan, I mean, this is the game where it's going to really prove, all right, how good is this team? Can they beat a Packers team who is so-so? I think it's going to be a big step for them. We have Cardinals, Browns. Cardinals just got 3-time Pro Bowler Zach Ertz from the Eagles, and if he can stay healthy, that team is even more loaded. And then we have Chargers versus Ravens. So real quick, if everybody just go around and tell me out of those 3 games, which one are you most excited for this week and why?
I'll start. I'm more excited about the Cardinals and Browns game. I think the Cardinals take their first loss. I really do love the Cardinals though, but I just think it's their time. Somebody's going to beat them eventually, and the Browns are really good. Running game's really good. So
the game I'm most interested about, I don't think you mentioned it, but the Chargers Ravens. I want to see Lamar and Justin Herbert.
Yeah, it's on the list. It's on the list. It was there.
Okay, I didn't hear you say it, but
yeah, nice. Yeah, that's going to be a big game too. And I do want to say here, real quick to Ryland's point, Kyler Murray is actually being limited at practice right now, and Hopkins was out of practice yesterday.
Also, Nick Chubb was rolled out today for the game.
Yeah, so.
All right, Kareem Hunt though. So.
Yeah, that's true. But if Kyler's out and Hopkins is out this week, this may be the Cardinals' time. But anyway, moving on, Alex and Chase, your top games for this week.
You can go first, Alex.
I'm going to go with the Bears-Packers game. I mean, you watched last week. That Bears team looked like they ran Vegas out of the game. I mean, Vegas looked like not like they were going to move the ball on any down. I mean, it was bad. The run game was bad. But the Bears looked good. Justin Fields looked like he actually wanted to, throw the ball. He made good decisions. And right now, I have him as my top rookie quarterback through these couple weeks because he's played good 2 games in a row. And I think if he's consistent enough and he beats that Packers secondary, I think the Packers are going to fall down. So,
sure. Chase?
I think Fields wanted to throw the ball. I think the head coach of the Bears, Matt Nagy, did not want to throw the ball because he trusts no one except the promised starter, Andy Dalton. But outside of that, I do like Chargers Ravens. The Ravens, obviously, with that huge comeback against the Colts last week. But it's pretty much going to be a game of 2 coaches who are just willing to put it on the table and just say, yeah, I'll go for it on 4th down. And maybe there's no field extra points or anything in this game. Maybe they just go for 2 the whole time because the Ravens are getting 5 yards on the ground if they want. Obviously, against the Colts, they didn't. And the Chargers are just going to throw it on you if they want to. So I do think it'll be high scoring just because I think the offenses are really good. The Cardinals-Browns, I'm not really too interested in, mostly just because Browns like to run the clock, and I find it really good football, but kind of boring to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And my game this week, looking at it not even from a Bears fan perspective, but it's got to be Bears-Packers, and this is the best rivalry in the league. And this is a win that this is a win that where if either team wins this game, this is a season-changing type of win. If Chicago wins, they think they're legit. Morale is going to be super high. Packers lose this game, they're like, we just lost the Bears. Are we really legit? vice versa, obviously. I'm super excited. I think this is going to be Fields' first real big test. He's gotten 2 games back-to-back where he's played well, and now he's going into a even higher pressure situation. Super excited, and I cannot wait for that game. But to end our NFL, go for it, Chase.
Do you know Rodgers' record against the Bears, though?
I don't want to talk about it. I know it's amazing.
It is 20-5.
Yeah. But the game is in Chicago. I do want to say the game is in Chicago, so we have a chance.
I don't think that matters. 20-5, but that's just me.
To end our NFL segment, we are each going to go around and talk about one contender and one pretender that we have through these first 5 weeks through the season, I believe. So let's start here. I want to start with you, Rylan. Who's your one contender and one pretender of the league right now?
Contender I mentioned before is the Bengals. I don't know if they're really a contender for the Super Bowl, but I think they will make the playoffs for sure. Yeah. I love Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. That connection's real, and their defense is slightly improved from last year. So I definitely think they're going to make the playoffs, maybe 6 or 7 seed. And then my pretender are the Ravens. They've 3 of their 4 wins are just lucky as it can get. You got the 66-yard field goal from Justin Tucker to beat the Lions, who weren't very good. The Chiefs would have beat them if Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't fumble. And then the Colts, they choked. But I think that Ravens, they'll probably win their division, or they'll definitely go to the playoffs. But I don't know that they're a legit Super Bowl contender.
For sure. Let's go with you, Tyler.
My contender, I chose the Saints because they're getting some star players back. So Michael Thomas comes back after the bye week. They get 2 offensive line starters back, and they get 2 defensive line starters back after the bye week. And I think that's really going to push them towards the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl or even come close to it, but I think the playoffs are there.
Sure.
And then my pretender is the Broncos, just because of the offense. Yeah. I think if they could figure out that quarterback position eventually, they'll be really good, but until then.
I like it. Let's go with you, Alex.
All right, so my contenders, it's got to be the Chargers at this point. I mean, they look better than everyone else. The AFC West, I mean, Vegas is kind of they lost their footing in the race. The Chiefs are 2-3, and the Broncos just, I mean, played 3 bad teams to start, and now they're getting beat up on by every other team. But my pretender is actually Carolina. You watched them lose to a pretty hobbled Eagles team last week. I can't say that their offense was something great, but the defense picked Sam Darnold twice in that game, and that's, I want to say, 4 or 5 interceptions between 2 games. So I'm wondering if maybe they're having a come to moment with Sam Darnold and trying to make sure he doesn't go full Jets on it and throw more picks. But I think they don't look to me like they could stay in the AFC South for long with Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and I mean Atlanta just is terrible, but they can at least scrape a win out occasionally. So
yeah, I like that. And I just want to preface to say, anybody that's watching, my stream crashed, so if there was any chats in the past couple minutes, you might want to put them back in there. Okay, good. All right, well, not good because I want you guys to chat, but good, I didn't miss anything. Chase, your contender and your pretender.
I already said my pretender was the Packers. The NFC North isn't good. I'm sorry, Kai. The Bears, they're decent, but
that's fine. We still win. That's fine with me.
But they'll probably still win the division, but I went from a Super Bowl standpoint. I don't think they're really going to challenge anything, just like they always do. And for the contender, we actually all had different ones. I picked the Bills. At least so far, we've had different ones. I picked the Bills. They looked really good. They have the least yards given up on defense. They have a +11 turnover ratio so far. And they are 3rd in quarterback pressures. But according to Pro Football Reference, they only have blitzed 35 times. So they're getting to the quarterback and at least making it tough on him without having to blitz the house. And for my stat for offense, I just said, need I say more? Because I think we can all agree that their offense is really good.
Yeah, I like that. My pretender, I'm going to agree. I forgot who said it. Might have been Alex with the Broncos, but I don't remember. But
no, it was Tyler.
Tyler said Browns. I'm gonna agree with you. Their offense it's a problem. I think we even pointed out when we were talking about our best undefeated teams at that time that their record or their schedule is pretty weak. So I don't think that they are really a 3-2 team. My contender.
Just want to throw in here, Austin said Falcons over Panthers in chat. He's been saying this.
He's been saying that all year. But yeah, my contender, I right now, I can't root against that Cardinals team. I mean, they just look crazy. They are dynamic and explosive. I think that they're good on both sides of the ball. And I think they could pretty much hang with anybody. I expect them to at least get to the NFC Championship. Obviously, playoffs is a different atmosphere. So I don't know if they'll win the whole thing, especially still being a young team, but they're definitely on my list there for at least fighting for that NFC Championship. But moving on from NFL, let's transition into college football, right? We just had a crazy past week between my personal favorite rivalry of all time, the Red River rivalry, which delivered this year. Another big game, Penn State versus Iowa, Michigan, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, and of course, the one that nobody saw coming last week, Texas A&M beating number 1 Alabama. Out of all those games, guys, I mean, who has something to say about any of those games? Because I don't even know where to start.
I think the big stirring part is Rattler.
Oh, yes.
Rattler got benched.
Oklahoma and Texas. So just to give the viewers a little bit of context here, right? Rattler, beginning of the year, he was a Heisman candidate, right? No matter what you guys thought of him, he was a Heisman candidate in that Lincoln Riley offense. He was projected to be a first-round NFL draft pick. Some projected him to be the first QB off the board. He recently in this game struggled. Oklahoma was down 28-7 against this Texas team. In comes true freshman Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall player from the 2021 class, leads OU back, ended up beating Texas 55-48, I believe. And now there's reports everywhere of that Caleb Williams is going to be the starter this week. And people don't know if Rattler is going to transfer, if he is dedicated to the team, or what's going on. But keep going. I just wanted to give background context on why that was such a big story this past weekend.
So I feel like we have the biggest Rattler defender. He currently isn't here.
He is not here. It's Austin. Yeah.
But I did ask him for a quote that he has for Rattler getting benched. And this is exactly from him. It says, "You can say that I've always been the biggest Caleb Williams fan. I'm glad Rattler got benched. Go OU." That is Austin's quote over the game.
Wow.
But more on that. Obviously, Rattler got benched. He was 8 of 15 for 111 yards. He had 2 turnovers. One was an INT. The score was 28-7. Once Caleb Williams came in, he went 15 of 24 for 211 and 2 TDs, no interceptions. And they outscored Texas 48-20 at that point. And there is reports from, I got this from Sporting News, that Rattler was taking the second team reps. So they haven't said their starting quarterback, but it looks like it's going to be Caleb Williams, at least from practice.
I think we need to talk about that he walks out when they win the game. I mean, I think that's the biggest telltale sign. He's going to transfer. I mean, I remember watching QB1 and I was like, wow, this guy is, first of all, a jerk to his teammates. So I don't see any way that he mends this Oklahoma divide that's probably going to come in the next week. If Williams continues to play well, I think he's just going to leave, and that's going to be the end of it. I mean, I can see him going out and playing in the West for a Pac-12 team like USC or something. But I think, personally, I thought this was going to happen. I thought he was overrated. The fans didn't like him. They booed him out on numerous occasions. So it was bound to happen for him.
I think the big thing, I'm going to interject real quick here. I see no possible way in any scenario where a true freshman leads a comeback like that in a game with that magnitude and doesn't start the rest of the year. If we're being honest, Lincoln Riley had a pretty long leash with Rattler. He struggled plenty of games this year and last year. And if Caleb Williams has that same leash, I don't see him making that many mistakes that Rattler did. I do agree with you, Alex. I think he has to transfer at this point. his dad even came out and said we're rethinking, NFL draft decision. Which, I mean, if you're rethinking it, you're not going in. But yeah, Rylan, Tyler, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I'm actually going to defend him a little bit. I heard that his coaches told him to leave the field early so he didn't get harassed by media and all the questions about why he got benched and all that. But with that being said, he has to transfer, in my opinion. Caleb Williams looks really good. And I've heard a few things about maybe Michigan being an option. I'm not sure what you guys think about
I know the Big Blue Nation love that.
Yeah, that's interesting. They haven't had a decent quarterback for a while.
Jeez.
That's nuts. What about this Bama Texas game? I think this is a game that definitely snuck up on a lot of us.
As an SEC fan, I think that Alabama deserved to lose that game. It was bad. I mean, you watched that last touchdown. It is the softest coverage I've quite ever seen. The tight end's wide open. There's two guys sitting 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. But the craziest stat for me is Texas A&M averaged 6.5 yards per play, while Alabama averaged 6.4. And Zach Calzada's ranked at the moment 12th, dead last for QBR in the SEC, or second to last. But he threw as many touchdowns, but just 100 less yards as Bryce Young, and threw an interception, and showed that Texas A&M can beat Alabama. So I think Alabama has shown their flaws now.
Yeah, that's wild. That Texas A&M team with Calzada didn't really look that great. That's obviously why that they fell so much when their starter went down. But I mean, he's starting to figure it out. He balled out, and they beat number 1 Alabama. Chase, this is from Austin, right? This is Austin's quote right here. Yep. All right, so this is from Austin. He said Rattler was literally Pro Football Focus's second-ranked quarterback going into Week 6, and Williams had as many quarterback faulted incompletions as Rattler.
So he's defending his boy again.
My point to you, Austin, is this: if Rattler didn't have questionable character traits about him, I think that the team would have been more behind him. I think that's the big reason. I don't know if it's even I think Caleb Williams played great, but at the end of the day, I think if Caleb Williams plays that bad, I don't know if he gets benched, because he looked like a natural leader. It looked like the team likes him more, and it's obvious who the locker room wants. I get your numbers. You're the numbers guy, Austin, but I mean, Caleb Williams, I think he just looks the part, and he's just a natural leader. But anyway, going back to Bama Texas, anybody have anything to add on to that game?
Sorry.
You can go.
Okay. No, I still think Bama's the second best team in the country. They can't be ranked that right now, but I still think they are, and they deserve to lose. Texas A&M played well; they didn't turn it over. Well, I guess they did.
Just one though. So
yeah, they looked good. They played good enough to win, and it was at home. So
So going into this week, though, just so we keep moving, our two big games this week: Oklahoma State versus Texas, and Georgia versus Kentucky. Which I just want to say really quick that Chase said, I believe Chase, you said Texas would win last week, but they would lose in Texas fashion to Oklahoma State. Do you still believe that take from last week?
Well, obviously we said this before the stream started, but me and you personally went through and ranked our top 25.
We did.
And we do have Texas below Oklahoma State. I think I'm going to flip it. Wow. I am going to flip that take. Texas, I mean, they still scored 48 on Oklahoma. Oklahoma is still a better team, probably objectively, than Oklahoma State. I don't know recruiting numbers or anything like that. But Texas can definitely beat them. Oklahoma State, what was their official ranking this week? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think they're like ranked 12th.
12th?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we dropped them to 16th.
Yeah.
So they haven't really played anybody all that good. They can still win, obviously. Oklahoma State is kind of flipped the mantra of really good offense with no defense and now has a decent defense. But I don't know. It's Big 12. There's going to be points. That's my take.
Anything can happen in the Big 12. I personally, I have to go. I have to go Oklahoma State here. I mean, it's Texas. They are Texas. That is just they are gonna play. They're gonna play great against teams. Let's be real. They should have won that Oklahoma game. It is what it is. They lost. It was still close enough to me to where they impressed me. But I think I don't know if it's gonna be a blowout or not, but I think they are gonna lose this Oklahoma State team. And eventually be, I think, unranked. I think they're ranked number 24 right now or something like that. 25. They're ranked 25. So fall out of the rankings in Texas fashion.
I personally think Texas is going to win this game. I don't have any numbers to back this up. I don't really follow Oklahoma State football, to be honest. But seeing Texas just being at home and the performance they had against Oklahoma, I think they win this game.
Yeah, I like Texas after what I saw. I know they lost, but
I like it. Alex?
I didn't watch the Oklahoma game, but I mean, if Texas puts up a fight against that Oklahoma team, I'm pretty sure they got a good chance of playing Oklahoma State. I mean, I think it'll be pretty evenly matched, but based on the rankings, I got to go Oklahoma State comes out with the win.
So that's 2 for Texas, 2 for Oklahoma State, and me with points. So that's an interesting game.
I like it. Let's go. Let's transition over to Georgia versus Kentucky, which in the SMC chat seemed like a bit of a hot take here. I'll start honestly. I think Kentucky's gonna get smashed. I think they are not. What are they ranked 11th right now? They're ranked 11th.
Yeah,
we're ranked 11th.
Oh yeah. I forgot we have a Kentucky football team. I'm sorry, you guys are gonna get smashed. I mean, looking at your schedule, I don't really think it's that impressive. Yes, you get that win against Florida. That's really all there is. You're playing against, and it's not your fault you're gonna get smashed. It's Georgia, right? You're playing against demigods, and you're playing against a historic team right now. But yeah, I have Georgia this week over Kentucky.
I mean, that's your all's opinion, but I got some facts to back up what I think here. And the
man.
Kentucky team that goes into Athens and takes the win.
Wow.
Look at you look at Chris Rodriguez right now leading the SEC with 759 rushing yards, but you also have 2 options at running back with Kavasier Smoke and a running back who basically plays as a wide receiver that we have. I don't really remember his name, but he caught a touchdown last week. So you don't have to realistically run Rodriguez into the ground. You can switch. You can kind of do what Georgia does. But I look at it and you got to say, Wandale Robinson, as I'm wearing the shirt right now, he is a problem. I mean, you watch that bubble screen against Florida. He catches it and, I mean, runs like a knife through them. I mean, no one could catch him. But then you look at this Georgia team where I look at them. You've played Arkansas, Auburn, Vandy, and South Carolina. Vandy and South Carolina are horrible. But the Auburn versus Arkansas games, that was not the best Arkansas we saw. We saw the best Arkansas last week in a 51-point game. Auburn, Bo Nix is like quite literally the most bipolar quarterback.
You're forgetting the most important person on that Auburn team. I'll give it to Kentucky with all your great names on that team. They are an all-time team name. But Tank Bigsby, all right? He's single-handedly best name in the country. So who cares about Bo Nix when you got Tank Bigsby?
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
But you look at this Georgia team, it's been a very heavy load on their tight end, actually. He's caught 4 receiving touchdowns. Their wide receivers have only caught 2 each. So really, are they going to run the ball? Because they've played this very heavy run scheme. So will they open it up and throw, which I think I have an average. Bennett has only thrown 23 passing attempts when he has played in these past 3 games. So I think it'll be Kentucky bringing pressure to try and force them to throw. But when you have DeAndre Square and JJ Weaver, who currently have 73 tackles and 2 forced fumbles and 6 sacks combined, pressuring in a 3-4 scheme, I don't see how Georgia doesn't have a hard time in at least the first half.
So what's your official pick here? Is it Kentucky?
I think Kentucky squeaks it out by a touchdown. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be shot for shot.
Hey, all of my takes have been wrong so far. So honestly, all the stars are aligning in your favor. Rylan, Tyler, I'd love to hear your guys' take on this. Who you got this weekend?
I got Georgia by 28. It's gonna be a blowout. This same Kentucky team beat Chattanooga by 5 points.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And also, Georgia's front seven on defense, they're all going to be drafted within the first 3 or 4 rounds. They're the best front seven in years. Nobody can score on them, in my opinion. It doesn't really matter about Kentucky's offense when you have that defense that they're going up against. Georgia's running game is really good all the time, so I think they'll get it done.
So going against Alex's stats here, so Georgia allows only 2.15 yards a rush, which is third in the FBS, behind Wisconsin and San Diego State. And Kentucky is a run-heavy offense, and I don't see Kentucky being able to run the ball over Georgia. I think Georgia wins by 2 touchdowns. I don't think it's necessarily a blowout, but I think Georgia wins.
But
I like it.
I still think we have to go to this. Georgia's number 1 right now, so if Kentucky loses, it's not that big of a deal.
Oh no, it's an understandable loss.
But
Going off of that. Oh wait, go ahead. You got more? Go ahead.
I do think everyone has said it. Stetson Bennett is a backup quarterback. He has had to play 3 games. He could absolutely have an Alabama Bryce Young moment this week and just not play as well as he has. But, I mean, Kentucky has a good defense, and I think people will be pretty shocked when you watch them play.
Yeah. I think this is the first big test.
So right now, the spread is 21.5 for Georgia. So,
Hey.
I mean, maybe Kentucky covers if that's about all they're going to do if they do anything.
Well, what was the spread for the Texas A&M game last week? That had to be at least like 35 in the 40s pushing before the game. I mean,
let's see. Bama was 18, minus 18. So not as big as the Georgia game.
We do have something in chat here from Kyle Clay. He's backing Alex here, it sounds like. At least maybe partially. He said, consider the injuries that Georgia has going into this game. JT Daniels is doubtful. Tyler Smith is out. Dominic Blaylock is doubtful. Arian Smith is doubtful. And Kenny McIntosh is questionable. He said the list goes on and on. Even Kirby said he's concerned about injuries they have heading into this game. I personally am still going to pick Georgia. They've looked really good. They've allowed a touchdown when their defense started to look bored. And that's the only first-team defense touchdown they've allowed this year. So I'm personally going to have to pick Georgia.
So even though Georgia has all those injury problems, I'm sure their bench is just full of 4 and 5 stars. So I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, exactly. Going off of that though, I have to bring it up. Also, I just sent a chat to everybody. We're just gonna let all the viewers know here. We got a good flow going on in the show. We're gonna just keep it going. We don't really have an ending. Maybe around 2:30. If anybody needs to leave, panelists, feel free to leave. But just a little bit of announcement. We have a good show going on. But I have to talk about this, right? So I released my Kai's committee's top 25 rankings last week. I had to do it. And let me tell you guys why. After Alabama lost to unranked Texas A&M and only dropped down to number 5, I had to do it because there's inconsistencies in the committee. I referenced back to when Ohio State lost to number 2 or number 3 in the nation. I'm pretty sure they're number 2. Ohio State lost to number 10 Oregon and dropped down to like number 8. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Alabama loses unranked, drops down to number 5. So I made my own top 25, which I dropped in the chat. But yeah, honestly, I think it's the perfect top 25. Feel free to look at it. Feel free to argue it. I don't think you really can. It's amazing.
Can we talk about Iowa though? Last week, I mean, you play a completely hobbled Penn State team in the second half in Iowa. I mean, their quarterback came in, and this kid he looked like he was scared out of his mind. He looked like he was not ready to play. He never thought he was going to be in that situation.
He's going against number 3 team in the nation. Not warmed up.
Iowa 2's a little generous.
Well, I can defend this slightly. I was there for this entire thing, which I will say was 2.5 hours on a Monday night. However, I can back up the Penn State one. They did win, but at some point your record comes into play, and it was still a win. A win is a win in the column. You can't argue that they're out of top 4. I mean, you could obviously, but they're 6-0, so they gotta be there. They were 3. It's between them and Cincy. they're going to have a tougher schedule than Cincinnati. So they kind of get put over them, but I can back you up. Clifford was 15-25 while they were up, and it was 17-3 with Clifford playing. Roberson comes in and he threw 7 of 21 with 2 interceptions, but Clifford also did have 2 interceptions. So you can say Iowa made adjustments to that run game that Penn State had, and that's kind of what led them to win. So there's definitely arguments on both sides for them to make.
Sure.
And my only other criticism is Ole Miss, because they have absolutely no defense, and their head coach said it on national television.
Hey,
there's
top
no
15
defense
still.
between them and Arkansas. There's nothing. It's like, oh well, here you go. Here's a 60-yard touchdown for you. Here's a 60-yard touchdown. I mean, you can't play defense, and you can't not have a defense and win games. And that's where I see Kentucky and Georgia, Kentucky and Florida, and Wake Forest, Notre Dame being higher than them because they have somewhat of a defense.
I think that's a good argument. But again, I mean, your schedule comes into play. I feel like, this was Monday night. It would have sounded a lot better if I took down all the notes, but it was 2.5 hours, right? Ole Miss is there for a reason. I think they've won the games that they've needed to win. I think they've only lost one game this year, and it was against the number 1 team. Or no, it was against Bama.
Yeah,
Arkansas was the one that lost. So the only game they lost this year was against Bama, right? So they've won every other game that they've needed to, and so that's why I have them there. But we still need to move on. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I just want to let you guys know, and I will be updating that weekly, by the way. So, and I will be dropping it in the chat every week. So be on the lookout. It shouldn't take 2.5 hours next time, though, Chase, since we have the baseline now. So, but moving on, right? Let's go into some baseball. MLB playoffs. All right, Tyler, you're a big baseball guy. Recap us. Tell us what happened in the past week.
Well, last night the Dodgers, won 2-1 against the Giants. The Giants' pitching was very good. They just managed to get the game-winning RBI by Cody Bellinger. And then the Braves, they looked really good against the Brewers. There were some questionable decisions with the Brewers manager pulling their starters real early when they were dealing, which then cost them. But and then the Astros destroyed the White Sox in 4 games, like everyone predicted. Lance McCullers is out, though, this series against the Red Sox, which is big.
I think the big one, though, I don't know if you mentioned it, the Red Sox beat the Rays. Did anybody predict that last week?
I think we all said Rays.
I think everybody had Rays. Now we're going to get the Red Sox, I guess.
Nathan Eovaldi is elite in the playoffs, and
yeah.
And that offense is slugging the crap out of the ball right now.
They got hot at the right time.
And who was it that said that the Braves would sweep the Brewers?
That was Brendan.
Brendan's not here. Brewers won the series 3-1. He's one game off. Or I mean, Braves. Braves won the series. I meant Braves. Braves won 3. He was 1 game off. But yeah, that's awesome. Wow. So do we have our whole next round set? Championship series?
The ALCS is Red Sox and Astros, and the NLCS is Braves and Dodgers.
And then this next round is World Series.
So yeah, whoever wins these 2 series goes on and plays each other in World Series.
Playing for the pennant.
You got to give me Red Sox versus Dodgers. You got to give it to me. I want it. Those are my 2 predictions. Right there. Those are my 2 predictions. I want Boston and I want LA playing in the World Series.
So my predictions for the ALCS, I have Astros in 6 because I think they're going to lose. So they lost Lance McCullers, who's their number 1, and I think they're going to have to fill in for like a bullpen game in 1 or 2 of those games, and I think it's going to hurt them. But they'll still win the series. Their offense is just too lethal. 1 through 7, all hitters hit around 300. It's ridiculous. And then the NLCS, I have Dodgers in 5.
Rylan, you look like you've been itching to say something.
I'm a big baseball guy too. I love the Astros even without McCullers. McCullers he's a true ace. I would have picked him to win in 5 with him. Without him, I'm gonna go Astros in 6. I love the Red Sox though. I love their story. I love Devers. He's really good. I love JD Martinez. But no, he's but then I got to go with the Dodgers in the the other side. Braves don't have enough pitching for me. They have Charlie Morton. That's about all I got. Braves hitting is really good, but the Dodgers have Scherzer. They got Urias, good relievers. So I think I'm going to go Astros Dodgers, even though I'd love to see Red Sox to win it, but I'm going to go Astros.
All right, well, I'm not a baseball guy, but I'm just going to take a wild stab at this one. I got the Braves somehow upsetting the Dodgers. I mean, I know the Dodgers are loaded, but San Francisco gave them fits for a long time. And
they also won 107 games.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals were on like a 22-game win streak. So they did play good teams.
But I mean, it's October. It's October. That's all I have to say.
Sure.
I mean, you watch the
true.
Red Sox go walk off to win 2 games. I mean, as long as the Braves can just scrape by, I mean, they could realistically win 2, maybe 3 games out of that series. I mean, but you really have to like get lucky. But I do see the Red Sox beating the Astros because currently they look like they might be the luckiest team on the earth. I don't know how you hit 2 walk-offs back to back. I'm watching the game. I'm like, oh, this guy's up to bat. Walk off. I'm like, oh wow, that's gonna ruin everyone's night. I was like, well, so I mean, I gotta go with the upsets here and take those.
Honestly, we could have seen the Rays in this series. That double or the ground rule double play, that would have scored a run, and the Rays would have took the lead in that game.
Yep.
So like they could have went 5, and it might have been an interesting series.
Yeah, that's tough. Who hasn't given their Rylan?
I haven't gone Rylan. I called him out because I could see him trying to say something.
Yeah.
I try to look up, like I said, I try to look up a lot on the ALDS because this is when I actually start watching baseball, or at least keeping up with it more. It's just long. I try, but there's a lot to look at, man. But no, the Astros have a way better run differential, and they also led the AL in runs, hits, average, and their on-base percentage, which when I saw that, I went, I don't know how the Red Sox stand a chance. But the Red Sox do have Eovaldi, who was dealing against the Rays. That was disgusting. I actually like watching pitching more than people scoring runs, so that was just fun for me to watch. But the Astros also held the best record against winning teams in the MLB. Like they said, they lost their ace, but I do still have them. I think the Red Sox might get one of those stories where they're up like 2-0, and it's like, here come the Red Sox, and then they're just going to fall apart, and they'll kind of figure it out just after kind of looking at more on the Astros. But for Braves Dodgers, the check swing was total garbage. I just want to say that. I'm not saying the Giants would have won if that wasn't called, but that made me very upset because I picked the Giants. But the Braves in the last 54 games of the season had a 66% winning percentage. They won 2 of their 3 games. So they were looking good going into it. But the Dodgers also won 106 games in the season, and they are just loaded. If the Braves win it, good for them, but it's also Atlanta, so I'm going to have to go with the Dodgers, and the Atlanta curse of just always being terrible is going to kick in.
I would like to add, so you said you're a pitching guy. I don't know if you follow Pitching Ninja on any social media, but yeah, that's fun to check out.
Oh, I also had MVPs. I picked Correa and Mookie Betts because it's Mookie Betts.
Let's go around. Let's go around and talk about our MVPs from each series. Yeah, we have the time to do it. I personally, I'll be honest with you guys, I really can't answer it too much. So let me go last.
Are we going like for the ALCS or like the previous?
Let's just do previous ones. So we'll just do from each series, just real quick about.
Oh, I just did ALCS. I didn't do division.
Oh, yeah. Well, then let's just do that.
If they have it, that'd be great to hear, but
yeah. I don't know if they've dropped them yet or not.
I don't think so.
I guess I'll start. So I would say for the ALDS, it was for the White Sox game, it was definitely Lance McCullers in that series. He absolutely dealed for 2 games and shut them down. And then for the The Red Sox Rays, I'm going Nathan Eovaldi. And then trying to think here. Braves Brewers, I'm going Jock Peterson. He had 2 of the most clutch hits in that game. Basically won them all games. Came in and hit 2 pinch hit home runs. He gave them the lead.
Wow.
And then the Dodgers Giants. I didn't follow the series as much. Their games were on pretty late. I'm usually asleep halfway through it.
Sure.
I know Mookie Betts crushed the ball, so we'll go with him.
He's so good, man.
I'll chime in here. I want to go with Bellinger in that series. He's the game-winning RBI to move him on, and he's been cooking lately, especially in the wild card too. It was one of the reasons they won that game. The Braves Brewers, I think it was Austin Riley. He should. I think he's MVP of them now. Honestly, in my opinion, he won't be, but. And then the other 2, I got Rafael Devers. He hit well as usual. And then for Heath, I'm gonna go with Pollard.
I will say I was close to picking Scherzer for the Dodgers for the MVP just because.
I forget Scherzer was there, man. That's wild. That team is dummy stacked.
And just think if they had like Trevor Bauer and all these others.
That's wild. Well, I think those are pretty good insights. Alex, you said you're not a baseball guy. If you have the MVPs, it's all right.
Yeah, no, I don't got that one.
Yeah, I'm not going to even try. I think you guys covered it pretty well.
Exactly.
So if anybody has anything else to add on baseball, feel free to say something now. But if not, it's NBA season. It's NBA season. All right. Preseason's heating up. Season starts, I'm guessing, last week of October, like it usually does. I don't know the exact date. It's probably in that last week somewhere. So let's start with our way too early award predictions. All right, let's just get right into it. Who wants to go first? Who's your MVP? What are we doing? MVP, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man, and Most Improved, and Defensive Player.
Those are the ones I had down.
Yeah, so they're your main 5 awards. Yeah. 5-6 awards.
I guess I'll go MVP. I'll go Kevin Durant. He looked like
I like it.
He was the best player in the world last year, in my opinion. Him or Giannis. I've heard Giannis is working on his jumpers and stuff. So if he can hit those jumpers like he usually can, then he's gonna be unstoppable. But I'll go there. Sixth Man of the Year. I'm gonna go with Bam Adebayo.
He is a star.
Adebayo.
There you go. Yeah. I think I meant Defensive Player of the Year. My bad.
Yeah. I know what you meant.
Yeah. Sixth Man.
There's one that everyone's missing because I saw it and I went, oh yeah, of course. He's the new Lou Will. He's on the Jazz. That might help you with Jordan Clarkson.
Mike Conley?
No, Jordan Clarkson. He'll probably be a 6th man. I saw that and went, oh yeah, probably him.
And then what's the last one? Most Improved?
Yep.
I'm actually going to go Miles Turner for the Pacers.
Oh, I like it.
I've not liked him so far in his career, but I've seen a lot of the work he's put on this last year and some of the preseason moves he's put on. And I think, honestly, he's going to improve a lot this year in terms of his offensive game.
Would that be one of the latest ever, like most improved? He's in year, 6, 7?
Still decently young.
Yeah, year 7.
Yeah, real quick, your Rookie of the Year, too. If you didn't say that.
I'm going to go Jalen Green.
Love it. Yeah. Let's throw it over to Tyler.
All right, for MVP, I had the same as Kevin Durant. I think Kyrie Irving missing. I think he's going to miss the season now. The way Steve Nash was talking, the GM. So I think he'll get the majority of the scoring load. I think they'll still be really good. Rookie of the Year, I had Davion Mitchell for the Kings. I've been watching him like in the summer league and preseason. He locks up everyone.
Lamps.
Yeah.
Lamps, bro.
Great tournament too last year.
And then Defensive Player of the Year, I went with someone probably no one else mentioned, but Matisse Thybulle. And
I like it.
I like it.
And then Most Improved Player, I went Michael Porter Jr. I think he's going to live up to that contract he just signed. And then Sixth Man of the Year, I went Tyler Herro.
You don't think he's going to start this year?
Here we go.
I like it. I feel like he is going to be a pretty good six man.
I don't know who's going to start between them. I don't know who starts a shooting guard for them. It's either him or Duncan, I believe.
It'll most likely be Robinson because Hero kind of struggled.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be Laurie Robinson.
Butler.
Why am I blanking? Yeah, Butler. Adebayo.
Yeah, Tucker.
Yeah.
PJ.
Tucker will probably start at the 4.
Oh, so Tucker at the. Yeah, I just love little 6'5". Little 6'5". Little in NBA terms. But he just goes out there. But yeah. I like all those picks. Alex, swing it over to you.
All right, I got to go with KD. I mean, I don't think LeBron and AD are going to get it done with Carmelo. So I got to go with KD. For my rookie of the year, I'm actually going to go with Cade Cunningham. I know people were kind of taken back by his preseason, but I still think the ceiling's really high for him, and he looked really good in college. So there's always that chance that he just all of a sudden turns up in the NBA. And I mean, he's playing on a Pistons team where he's probably going to get a lot of the load to play. So we'll really see him a lot. And I don't see maybe some of these other guys maybe like slide off with their play throughout the season. But I also liked Evan Mobley at Cleveland. He was really dominant in college. I'm not really good with the 6-man, so I'm not going to go
with Clarkson. Go with Clarkson. That's a safe bet.
I'm probably go with Clarkson. Defensive player of the year, I like Bam Adebayo, Kentucky thing, but he played really good last year. I remember watching them play a couple of times. I don't know. I'm leaning between Clarkson and I'm leaning between Hero for that 6-man because I think if Hero really heats up, maybe he could be in that contention, but he does have moments where he goes up and down pretty hard. And then most improved, I like the MPJ take. I think he really struggled in college, but I think now he's finally finding the rhythm that he needs to really break it into the NBA. And he's on a good team.
I would like to change my 6-man pick. Derrick Rose.
Oh,
okay.
Derrick Rose.
Okay.
That's one I thought about.
I like it. Chase?
I thought.
Oh, wait. No, Alex, you got something? Go for it.
Also, I would like to say most improved player, a crazy long shot might be Carmelo at Los Angeles.
Can you really win it when you're 37? Is that allowed?
I'm just saying, you got LeBron and AD with you now, so maybe he could get some open shots.
I just don't think they're going to give it to someone that's been an all-star in his career.
Unless he was an MVP, I don't think he's getting it.
I don't know.
All right. MVP actually had 2 down. My favorite is Doncic, but I'm not certain with the Mavericks. So I think Durant could also get it. I agree with you guys there. Led that Nets team, and if they win a lot of games and he's statistically the best, the narrative will also push his way because he hasn't won one since 2014. Rookie of the year, Cunningham. I'm personally not a big Jalen Green guy. He's going to get his shots. He's going to score his points. But I don't know. I think Cade overall is just going to have better looking stats. And if that Pistons team is even a little bit better, then he should get it. For most improved player, this one is probably out of the blue a little bit. Oh, also to back up the Cade Cunningham, Jeremy Grant took 18 or 17.3 shots per game last year. If he gets that many again this year, it'll be criminal. He did score 20 points per game, but it was on almost 20 shots. So I personally don't see too much to it. But my most improved player, I have Jaren Jackson Jr. with Memphis. They got rid of Valanciunas. They got Steven Adams, who's a more traditional center. So he doesn't have to hopefully get banged up as much. I think he's healthy for the full year this time. So if he stays healthy, I think he could get a shot. He does average 14 points. So if he takes that kind of next step up, and which I think he could be a runner at it. For 6-man, I have Jordan Clarkson. He's going to score, and he's going to be on a good Jazz team record-wise. Defensive player of the year, I did have anybody but Rudy Gobert because he doesn't deserve it. Aside from that, I think the Ben Simmons stuff will make it to where he can't. So I gave it to Miles Turner. He'll probably be up there in blocks. And if this Pacers team's defensive stats are good, then he has a chance.
I like it. All right. Well, to end it off, mine MVP. I really like Luka this year. I think this year he's going to get that MVP. I think he's solid. Rookie of the year, Jalen Green. it's not a question of me of who's more talented, but more of they're gonna give the ball to him and tell him to shoot. So I think that he's gonna have some inflated stats, and I think he's gonna average around about 18, 6 assists, and like 3 rebounds, right? And if he even plays a bit of defense, I think he's got it on lock. I think I think Evan Mobley's gonna have a little bit of an adjustment period playing against obviously bigger bigs. We saw him not really struggle in the summer league, but there's definitely an adjustment period there. And I just think that Cade, he has to compete. That Pistons team's not bad. They realistically could fight for an 8th seed spot, right? So it's not just that team's really, if you look at that core, that's not a terrible core. I'm not saying they're going to do anything in the playoffs, but I think in the Eastern Conference, you could definitely make an 8th seed there. So I got Jalen Green, defensive player of the year. I have Giannis. I mean, I just have a feeling he's just going to get it this year again. And I just have him. Who do you most improved? Chase, you're not going to like me for this. I think it might be Rudy Gobert. And here's why I'm saying that. I think
that's the same argument with Carmelo that you can use.
No. But here's the thing with Rudy, right? There's more things for Rudy to improve on. He is looking like he is starting to develop some sort of jump shot. I don't know how consistent it will be. But if you look, he looks like he is trying to shoot the ball more. If Rudy Gobert even starts hitting mid-rangers a little bit, and then I think he's had so much flack from this past offseason that he's going to try to play on the perimeter a little bit more and try to get better perimeter defense. You won't like it, Chase, but I think Rudy has more things to improve on, and I think that he's gotten so much flack this past offseason that he's going to be really motivated.
Show me another defensive player of the year who they use an entire offensive scheme to eliminate him.
I will get back to you on that. Most improved, I have Darius Garland. I think he averaged around 15 or 17 last year. I think he's going to be a 20-point per game scorer this year. I have even more assists. You could even say on that same team, I really like Isaac Okoro. I think he's going to take a big step this year too. Am I missing anybody? Is that all the awards?
He averaged 17.
Yeah. So I think if he gets up into like that 23, 25, and 10 range, I think it's definitely possible. I think it's possible for him. I like that Cleveland team, but if it's not him, I think it might be Isaac Okoro, who's also on that Cavs team. Did I miss any awards? I'm pretty sure I got all of them. I think I hit all of them.
Defensive player.
I said Giannis. For defensive.
Oh, okay. So I missed that. I do want to push back on your Pistons being a good team. In the past 2 years, they've won 20 games apiece. They haven't, in 2 seasons, they haven't got to their 41-41 record, which also has been their best team since 2015.
They've been rebuilding.
They made the playoffs in 2018,
though. I'm saying in that 8th seed spot, who can you really name? Because we just saw the Raptors. Raptors dropped off now. They're in rebuild mode. Hornets have not looked like I don't think the Hornets are going to do anything. Honestly, I don't know what's up with them. This is preseason basketball.
They lost 70 or something.
Yeah, they lost by like 70 points. This is preseason basketball. So again,
Still,
they may look completely
when you
different.
score 59 points in 48 minutes, that's
exactly.
Yikes.
And so what? Wizards aren't going to be in there. Hornets aren't going to be in there. Magic aren't going to be in there. Raptors aren't going to be in there. You're kind of running out of spots, right? To really say that this Pistons team can't snag that 8th seed.
I like the Hornets still. They didn't play any of their starters. So.
Actually, they did. LaMelo played like 30 minutes, I think.
Which team, Chase, are you really disagreeing with me here?
I'm disagreeing with all of your NBA takes at this point, I think. But
what you're telling me the Washington Wizards are a better team than the Detroit Pistons?
That's not what I am saying.
Okay.
I am saying I don't think there's a shot at an 8 seed. An 8 seed? No.
Yeah.
In
an Eastern Conference, yes.
The Sixers are still going to be good, even with all the Ben Simmons stuff. The Nets will be good. The Bucks will be good. The Knicks will probably still be in there. The Hawks are going to be even better. The Heat are a better team. They're probably going to try to coast a little bit. There's the Celtics with Tatum and Brown. They should be better. They got the new head coach, new voice, all that. The Pacers are still going to be in their 6 to 9 spot, which they just have solidified over their entire existence. The Hornets, they had one bad preseason game. I don't care. It's preseason.
I don't trust the Hornets.
The Bulls roster, even to get past the Pistons, the Magic are going to be awful. The Cavs are still going to be awful because aside from Colin Sexton, who's scoring the ball? I'd love to know that question. If Mobley has a really good offensive.
For the Cavs?
There's Garland.
You have Garland. Yeah.
Okay, but then who's playing defense in your backcourt? It still doesn't line up.
Okoro. What do you mean?
He's a forward.
You could play him at a 2. He's only 6'5", 6'6".
I'm done. I'm not defending this.
When we fast forward to April, and they're in the playoffs, everybody clip this and reference this moment. But we have to start wrapping up the show here. Chase, we can talk next week. Oh, keep going, Tyler. Yeah.
I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I think they can make the play-in game. I'll give you that.
I forgot about the play-in. Is that an every year thing now?
Yes.
I think they said it's back this year at least.
That's where I'm arguing. They can fight for that 10 all you want, but there's no shot they have the 8 seed.
Hey.
No shot.
Hey, they're gonna win the play-in. They're gonna win the play-in. Anyway, here we go. Actually, they'd have to lose one game and then be in the 8th seed. But we have to start ending the show. So you know what we do every time at Across the Board. The last 5 minutes of the show, we go around and we give our biggest hot takes. Now, new panelists, Alex and Rylan. You can give any hot take you want, but all we ask is try to make it something that we can revisit next week. Right? So, I mean, if you say, hot take, this guy's going to win MVP, we can't really make fun of you next week if it was wrong because that's months in advance. So just keep that in mind. So we'll have our returning panelists, Tyler and Chase, start. And Chase, I always feel like you're second to last, so I want you to be first. What are your hot take for this week?
We always start by recapping, so let me do that first.
Recap the hot takes too.
So I started a new thing where I'm going to track how we do the previous week, and it's not pretty. I can say that one.
Never is, but that's the life of hot takes.
We went 1-5 in total. Brendan was the only correct one. He said Braves would sweep the Brewers. They did not sweep, but they did win, so I will give it to him. Austin said Wilder would KO Fury. That did not happen. Fury actually KO'd Wilder. It was round 12, but Rishi said, I believe it was the Sox and Sox and Giants in the World Series. Both teams gone, so that's not there. I said Giants over Dodgers. I was wrong. Kai, you continue your horrid point streak of 83 total points off so far with Nebraska over
last
Michigan.
Week I was only off by how much?
You were only off by 16. It is half. So you are getting there.
Getting there.
And Tyler, it's between you and Kai of who is closest from actually getting it right. He's had Colts over Ravens.
That is. Hey,
rough.
It's not fun if they aren't hot. So, you could always go with the comfort ones, but we go for the hot ones. But anyway, Chase, your hot take for the week.
So I couldn't really think of all that much for this week, but I did find one, and I'm not sure how confident it is because I do like the Bengals a lot, but I don't think there are going to be any winless teams left in the NFL this week. I think the Lions get there, and the Dolphins are so bad that the Jags might be able to do it.
I also have one of those as my hot take. I had the Jaguars beating the Dolphins. And I also throw another one out there for college football. I think TCU comes into Norman and beats Oklahoma.
Look, Caleb Williams. This is not no Spencer Rattler back there.
That makes it even bit easier for me to choose TCU.
Wow.
What was your other one? TCU over Oklahoma, and who was the other one?
Jaguars.
Can we get a score for the TCU Oklahoma one?
Oh, I'll go.
It's Big 12. It's Big 12.
It's gonna be high scoring. I'll go like.
Give us your over. Give us your over.
38.
42-38. Okay, we'll go with that.
The over set it like I don't know what it said. I can go look though.
I was more asking for yours. Just to give you a good one there.
I like it. Rylan?
I got a steamer right here. I'm a big IU fan.
Okay. All right.
They come into town. Weekend football. I'm going to take IU. 24-21.
Who?
They're playing Michigan State.
They're playing Michigan State.
Yeah. That's indeed steamy. Like, let's be honest. That IU team hasn't really played that well this year, but they still have the talent. I mean, they were projected to be a lot better than they are. So,
and our QB Penix was terrible this year. But our backup, I like our backup better. So,
yeah. Tuttle, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. You have a score? Sorry if I didn't hear the score.
24-21.
24-21. Okay. I like that. Alex?
All right. Well, you all have already heard mine. Kentucky goes into Athens. I'm talking about a close game.
Do you have a
got
score?
It as 27-24. And I would like it to be noted that I think Stetson Bennett will at least throw 2 picks.
Wow.
A lot of takes right there in one game.
All right.
All right.
Well, I'm going to bring it home here. I'm gonna do something a little bit. I want to do a baseball. Hot take. I see that we have. I'll try to see how many games of this series are going to be played before our next show. All right. In the Astros Red Sox series, our next show is on the 22nd. Before that show, I think 5 games of that series is played. Red Sox will be up 3-2. Right? I mathed.
That
there.
is correct
right.
math.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I almost said 3-1. And I was like, that's not 5. Yeah. I have Red Sox 3-2. Honestly, college football hasn't really been working for me on hot takes this year. So we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna go to a sport that I don't really watch, and maybe I'll get it right. So I have Boston Red Sox up 3-2 by the time our next show on the 22nd begins.
I mean, hey, that's usually how it works. Usually
Yeah.
get the ones you don't know much about, right?
Exactly. But everybody, it is 2:30. We went a little bit longer today, but we all started a little late. So thanks for everybody that's tuning in. Panelists, thank you for your time. It was a great show today, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody and debating our hot takes next week, same place, same time. See ya.